Hi, I'm Anirudh BK, a third year Electronics and Communication Engineering student from NITK Suratpal. I interned at IISc Bangalore over the summer. My professor's name was Dr. Bharadwaj Amrutur. He is a PhD under VLSI systems, and my internship topic was regarding object recognition and image processing.
Hi, I'm Karthik Espat. I'm from IT department and I'm from NITK. I worked with Dr. Sudarshana Iyengar in IIT Ropar through the IAS scheme. His research interests vary from cryptography to social networks to machine learning, and I work with him in the field of cryptography.
I'm studying in electrical and electronic engineering as a third year undergraduate student in NITK Suratpal. And I applied for MS Ramaya School of Advanced Studies under the guidance of Hariharan Ramasangam. My area of interest was image processing and its applications. There I worked on a project called facial expression recognition and its applications.
Hi, I'm Chintan Doshi. I'm from Computer Science third year. I did my internship in second year summer vacation in Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. I worked under Professor Y. Narhari, and my field of working was game theory and mechanism design.
I had a very enriching experience at IISc. My professor assigned me to a research scholar, so I had the live experience of what it takes to undergo research. Since I'm a resident of Bangalore, I stayed at my house, but then the IAS organization also offers accommodation at Jalahalli, and they also give travel allowance to people who have come from other places. They offer us a stipend of about 8,000 per month, and since our internship was supposed to be for 2 months, they gave us 16,000, and we also get a subscription of the magazine Resonance free for 1 year. They want us to really pursue science and research as our profession, so they went all out to inspire us, and definitely it was a very inspiring experience to work at IISc.
My experience was good. I was working under my professor directly. He was very friendly with me, and as I was not from Bangalore, I was staying in the accommodation provided by the IAS only. The accommodation and food facility was good.
I worked there like I said, in the field of cryptography, specifically secure multi-party computation, which is a very wide branch in itself. I took up computation right there. It was given to me by my guide, and even though I was supposed to be reporting to a PhD student directly, I had a lot of interaction with my guide directly. He used to meet me every day pretty much, which is quite rare to find in a guide in such institutions because they are very, very busy. So in that way, I was very lucky that I got to interact with him on a daily basis, and that really helped me. I worked on a purely research project, and it involved a lot of reading and a lot of thinking, which was all that I ended up doing there, which was in itself, kind of fun. Something completely different from what we do in college, which is studying and chilling out. But
My experience throughout was very good. We were provided accommodation by IAS, which was in a very good area of Bangalore. My stipend was 8,000 rupees, but 2,000 rupees was cut for lodging and boarding for accommodation, and 2,000 for food and 500 for transport. So net, I was earning 3,500 rupees per month. My professor was a very busy professor. He was the chairman of CSA department, so I was able to meet him once in a week. But he assigned me a research scholar. He was a PhD student. So I was reporting to the PhD student every day, and if wherever I had doubts, I was clearing it with him. The experience throughout was pretty decent, I must say.
One of the perks of being at NITK is that the professors from IITs and IISc handpick you, so that's one plus point for us. And while going through the professors to apply for, I went through most of the IITs and IISc websites and looked through the field of interest. I was interested in image processing and embedded systems, so I went through the electrical engineering departments and found we were supposed to send requests to 6 professors. So I shortlisted about 12 of them, and uh, one of them actually chose me. So that was a simple procedure as such. Just focus on your interest, what you want to do, and you can look for the professors in the list of faculty, and you can contact them through mail. I chose my field of interest as image processing. As in my summer or the first year, I did a small project on it. It was actually a part of IEEE project, and we had a course on digital signal processing, and our labs required us to do a course project, and that was a lot of fun, and we had to do a lot of research to write the codes for signal processing. So that interested me towards my field. So I suggest people to look for their initial interest, and whenever they have free time, to take up small projects which they can easily find online, and most of the software are also free. So they can do small projects, and trying out different projects will make them know what their exclusive interest is, maybe what they want to pursue in future.
So I chose my field of interest as cryptography. That was, I don't know what to call it. It was kind of a bin select. I just looked at what there was which could be done, and something which appealed to me at first was cryptography. The thing is, it's fine if you don't know your research interests, because once you go into the field, you will end up loving it unless you really have an aversion towards it, which was not the case in my case. You start off, you just find something that you think you might be interested in, read a little. I think that's enough to perk your interest. I just read two, three papers, or not papers exactly, 2-3 textbooks. Read the introductions, read the first 2 chapters, and that was enough to make me realize, okay, I like this stuff. So that's what made me choose that field. And when you're looking for your profs in IAS, you would do good to just control that your field of interest, and then look at who's offering those, because there'll be a lot of constraints when you're planning on applying to IAS. Most importantly, your field, and next your location. I was a bit lucky in my case because I had applied only to profs in Bangalore, because that's my hometown. But I was selected by a person in Punjab, and I really ended up loving my experience. So, I mean, don't have the location as a barrier. You will tend to have it because you'll want to stay at home during the summers and stuff, but it's absolutely no problem to go outside. It's a new experience, and it's something worth it.
About selecting profs, there are major 2 ways you can go about it. What I did was, I had a proper research interest, and I was interested in game theory, and I was very sure about it. This is the first way. So I checked out for every prof for game theory. So there were a few in game theory. Dr. Vainalari was one of the most India's prominent profs in game theory. So I named him as the first one. After that, I went on and checked all the profs who were offering game theory or network economics, and I put them as second choices, and thereafter. Another way you can go about it is, you can find out which are the famous profs and famous places. I mean, IISc is a pretty decent place to work as an internship. Otherwise, the IITs are good. So you can check what all the profs from IITs and IIScs are offering, and then you can just do a quick Google search on the topics. You can read the primary stuff about the topics. You can check out some few introductory lectures on YouTube or Coursera or any other forum you find better. After that, you can think that will you like to work in this field on this kind of problems or not. Basically, in a Google search, I recommend you to include that also, that what are the recent problems in this subject. After that, you can think about it that do you want to work on this problem? Will you be able to focus throughout 2 months on this particular subject? Because in research, it becomes a problem if the subject you select turns out to be boring for you in the 2 months.
There were around 50 students who applied to IAS for internships from EC, and I think around 8 to 10 students got it.
From my branch in my college, around 40 to 50 people applied for IAS, and 3 people got selected to the best of my knowledge. All 3 of us worked in IITs.
Around 60% people from my branch applied for IAS internship because it is very reputed, and I guess 4 got selected and went to IISc only for their internships.
What would give you an advantage over the others to get selected is, firstly, I think they look for academic excellence, as I think think it shows a dedication towards research. And secondly, if you have any projects that you've done previously, it would help, because I had done some, and there was a field that they asked if you have any previous experience of in your field about projects. And thirdly, I think they look for people who are committed, and since they're paying you 16,000, they want you to complete your project.
So while you're applying, you should choose your field wisely, as in choose what you think you're interested in. The rarer the better actually, because there are a lot of people applying for mainstream courses like data mining, data sciences, etc., which is a very populated field now, if I can call it that. And to make your application stand out, your SOP has to be very good and your LOR has to be exemplary. That was one thing which I think went well in my opinion, because in my case, because my SOP was pretty good from the reviews I heard, and I got a decent LOR from one of my profs who liked my work, who liked my interaction in this course. So make sure you get good LORs, because that really adds to your application.
Basically, in IAS application form, if you notice, there are only two things which will make you different: is your previous experience on other projects and your SOP. So I believe my SOP was pretty good, because I had worked on game theory and mechanism design previously before applying, and I was very sure that I want to work in this particular field and nothing else. So my SOP was directly targeted to the prof, Dr. Y. Narhari, under whom I worked afterwards, and I believe that my SOP included what I have worked in game theory and what will IAS internship help me to achieve in my career. So I believe that's my plus point.
IAS opens its applications, I think, in the first week of October, and you have to submit it by November end. So initially you should be prepared with a small SOP. They ask for what your research interests are, and do you have any project idea in mind? So and it's limited to around 200 words. So you should be really specific, because otherwise you just ramble on and they'll think that you don't have a clear picture of what you want to do. And regarding the letter of recommendation, I think it's better if you ask a professor who knows you well, because they have a standard procedure for it, where they ask the professor to grade you based on communication skills, interest in class, and your outside extra class hours, whether you take up more effort to study extra outside course structure. So, and they also ask for the class 10th and 12th marks too. So if you've done well in those, it's a big plus for you. I think they look for that also. And I think your SOP, I think, is the most important part of your application to any research internship. Your professor will obviously read whatever you have written and think if you are suitable to work under him in his project. So that's the most important thing. Followed by that is your GPA, because that acts as a screening procedure, because everybody will not read all the applications that are submitted to them. The letter of recommendation is mainly to see if you are active and interested in the class and do all the work, and not just claim that you have done a project or anything. They want to know how you are as a person and how dedicated you are. Your teacher's recommendation will help you in this case, so it's better if you ask from a teacher.
So when it comes to SOPs, I am myself kind of confused about how to write it. So my advice to you guys will be to ask your seniors who have done it once, who know what the professors expect. Or if you're close to a professor, it's even better you can just ask him, sir, what should I write, what will impress you in an application. So then you'll know exactly how to frame your SOP. And that is very important, because that's what profs look at. They want to see how well you can express your ideas and how well you know what you're applying for. They get lots of applications with complete junk in them, which is very generic, which they will discard. They'll say, okay, this person doesn't know what he's applying for, I'm not going to take him. So be very specific and be very to the point, because they're not going to end up reading more than 3-4 lines of your mail. And when it comes to LORs, yes, it is important to take it from someone higher up in the order, a professor preferably, if not that, an associate professor, if not that, an assistant professor. Taking from a temporary faculty is not going to be useful, because they will not be listed in your college site. So suppose the person you're applying to looks up the person who has recommended you. they will not find him. So it will actually hinder your application more than it does to help it. So preferably somebody who is recognized in the college and recognized in your department. And if you're close to a professor or if you're close to any faculty, it will add to your application a lot, because he would have gauged you more than somebody who just teaches your class and knows you as one out of the 100 odd people in your class. And your CGPA does not make too much of a difference. It does not make too much of a difference. If you're a high pointer, it's obviously a benefit, but a low pointer does not hinder your application.
The application procedure consists of three things. One is SOP, one is letter of recommendation, and previous project experience. SOP is divided into two major parts. One is if you are applying for a specific topic, first part consists of what have you worked to get some knowledge, some basic knowledge in that topic. So in first part you must mention about what have you really done in that topic, and what have you read some research paper, have you taken up some online courses, or are you taking help of some of your faculty who are really good in that subject. If you are working in graph theory, you can mention the name of your maths prof who have been teaching you graph theory in your semesters. I did in game theory, so there is no one available in game theory, but I attended Coursera courses on game theory, so I mentioned that I have been attending online courses in this. Second part will include what will this internship give you, and how will it help you in your career. What I wrote was that this internship will let me know how this research community works. Basically, we are very familiar with how how people work in industrial environment, but in research environment, the things are not that same. Things are not the same. So, what research internships in institutes in second year gives you an idea about how do people work, how do PhD students work, and how the labs are there, what are the institutions, who are good profs, how do you go about your projects, how do you work in an environment like that without no proper guidance and no proper motivation and no deadlines and anything like that. So I mentioned everything that how will this research internship will help me in my career. That I mentioned that I was very much interested in research, and I plan to pursue a PhD in further years. It can be a lie or not, but still I suggest that you should mention what are the benefits you will receive from the internship. The second thing is letter of recommendation. I believe that if you are applying for a subject like graph theory, if you are in computer science, this will be specific for computer science people. If you are applying for subjects like graph theory, I better suggest that you go to the prof who has taught you graph theory. So if at all the person who is checking your application will check that who is this person and do I know him or not, then he will definitely look at his website and check out that yeah, this professor has been working in graph theory, so he must be a valid person to recommend this student. But it was not in my case. I got a letter of recommendation from a prof, assistant professor, Dr. Jenny Rajan. I took it from him because in his subject I was performing the best, so I expected that he will give me a very nice letter of recommendation. This was my particular strategy for letter of recommendation. And in the projects I mentioned that I have read previous research papers, and I have studied a lot of materials for game theory and mechanism design, but I didn't do any specific projects for that, so I couldn't mention anything specific.
Your CGPA is actually pretty important when you apply to a research internship. If it's really good if you maintain a GPA above 8. So many of the professors initially when they shortlist your applications, they look at your GPA. So I think it's better if you maintain it 8 above. Most of the people who got IAS through my class also had a pretty good GPA. It's not the only criterion actually for choosing. They'll also look at your SOP and see if you are actually interested in your field of research or you have just looked up online and written. So they look at your SOP, but your chance of getting in are better if your GPA is high.
I firmly believe in IAS, CGPA does not play a major role once you clear the cutoff. In my class, there were a lot of people with 9.5 plus pointers, and they didn't get any call from IAS. The people who got the call were actually from the range 8.7 to 9.2, I will say. So what I believe is your letter of recommendation and your SOP plays a major role in that, and CGPA is just a factor to just get you through the cutoff.
How the IAS procedure works is we apply to some professors, we make a list of them and send it to IAS. IAS first shortlists all reads all the applications and shortlists some of them and then sends it to the professors whom you have applied to. So there's a good chance of you getting in if you directly approach your professor stating that you have asked for them through IAS. So the professor can watch for you when they send the request.
I think that IAS, since they get a lot of responses and a lot of applications, from what I know, they forward the applications to the profs. So basically, each guide gets a list of people who have applied to him, and he looks through that list and looks through all the applications and then selects people. And I also think that it's like a trickle-down thing. So when you apply to somebody as your first preference, your application goes to him directly, and then to the person who's your second preference, he rejects you, and so on until you're sixth. And then it goes to an open pool. I think that's what happened in my case, because I got somebody outside my 6 applications. So it goes to an open pool, and any guy who's interested in taking you will take you there. So when you're applying, make sure that you get your order also right, because if you want somebody if you want a very eminent prof from IIT Guwahati and you're applying to somebody in Bangalore, so he will not get your application if he's lower down your order. So be very careful about that.
When applying to a research internship, I think the first thing is you should be sure of which field you want to apply to. So that will be possible if you have done some projects on that field or read papers from it. Reading papers is a very good habit actually. Most of us wouldn't have gone through how they are written or how you can elaborate on them. So if you are going to a research internship, then you may also get an opportunity to present a paper. So I think it's a good practice to read a few papers and try to implement them on your own. So learn basic software like MATLAB or embedded coding in EC might be useful if you have these skills. And also I want to say that you should not lie in your application because you can easily figure it out.
One thing that you guys have to make sure about your SOPs is that don't make it too generic, be pretty specific about
My
what
suggestion
you're
for
writing.
second year student, any second year student is that first identify a topic of interest, because in your career if you start working on something, it'll be better if you start building on that subject further in your career, because in second year if you do a research internship in one particular subject and in third year you do something completely perpendicular to that subject, then your second year internship is complete waste of time. So I believe that when you decide a topic of interest, you should be looking at the topics you are going to take up in your masters, or you are going to if you are going to take up any research work further in the future, I think that you should select a topic in which you will do your research work. So it is a very tough job as a second year student, but I believe a lot of time should be spent in finding a topic particular for your interest.
Internships are important if you are in branches like chemical, mechanical or civil. This will help you get an industrial perspective of what you are studying in the classrooms.
Talking about the winter internships for second years, I don't feel they are that important for them, because you are coming 2-3 years, so better you enjoy in your home and have your home food.